everyone! It's been a very long time since I posted a video, over a year, actually, more like a year and a half. I apologize for that. I'm the worst at routines and keeping people updated and doing things regularly. So, I guess this is really on brand for me, but I'm still sorry about it. It is something I'm going to try to be better at. I'm not going to make promises for how often I'm going to continue uploading videos, but I am going to at least try to catch you up on the last year and a half within the next week. So there will be lots of videos coming out this week, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of just going to go through like my Facebook and my Instagram and remind myself what all happened and then tell you about it. Okay, so I'll just start. The last video I posted talking about my experience so far in Mexico was in February, towards the end of February of 2021, and it's now July of 2022, so a lot has happened. I cannot understate how much has happened in the last year and a half, so stay tuned for all of the details. Okay, so March. At this point, I am so tired of being online. It had gotten so hard to wake up in the mornings to go nowhere. It was the strangest thing that I've ever experienced, to have to get up in the morning and to be tired to get up in the morning, to get ready, to not leave your room. It just, like, for a little while it was kind of cool. It's like, yeah, cool, I can wear, like, sweatpants. It's like business up top, business up top and party on the bottom, like, you know, a mullet, but kind of different. Anyways, I'm rambling to say that it was cool at first, but at this point, I was getting tired of being in my room all day. But our spring break was right at the end of March, and right before our spring break, we got like really amazing news. We were going to come back to a hybrid model of learning. So we were going to go from the students being online all day, every day, to the students being online 2 days and in person 2 days. No, online 3 days and in person 2 days. But it was split. So like half the kids would come Monday and Tuesday, and half the kids would be online Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, everyone would be online. And then Thursday and Friday, half the kids would come to school and half the kids would be online. So it was a lot to keep up with, very challenging. We had to throw together our classrooms last minute. We had to change lesson plans. We had to figure out everything we were going to do. It was really hard to keep up with, like doing the same, keeping your all of your kids on the same track with half of them being online and half of them being in person and having them at different times and doing different things to them. It was really difficult, really, really challenging, especially for a first-year teacher. But it was so good to like get ready and actually leave. It was just amazing. I didn't know that it would be so life-changing to be able to leave for work every day, but it was. It was like amazing. And yes, I did have to get up a little bit earlier, but it was worth it because I wanted to leave. So during this time, I also started riding to school with the daughter of my host family, because I think I've mentioned before that her and I had gotten like really close by this point. Over spring break, we spent like the whole spring break together. Neither of us went anywhere because COVID and because money and different reasons. But neither of us went anywhere. So we hung out together. We house sat for a friend and watched her cats. And then we went for waffles and we went to a bookstore and we did all these things that were super fun. It was a great 2 weeks off of rest and relaxing and eating too much food and sleeping too much and all those kind of things. But it was neat. It was great. And then we came back to learning in person / online. It was a hybrid. So anyways, I started riding to school with her and running back from school with her. So there was a little more free time that I had in the sense that I didn't have to walk to work. But there was less free time because I wasn't at home. So, but this was going really well. I was really having a lot of fun, and getting out of the house kind of motivated me to do a little bit more. So I started taking Spanish lessons for a little while around this time. I still did those through Zoom. I didn't do them in person. And then I also started doing some English tutoring online through a website called Preply, which I highly recommend if you need to learn a language. It would be a great way for you to do that. But I don't do that anymore. But I did do that for a few months, and I started it around that time period. So I had a lot going on, but it was good. It was like a nice balanced level of I have enough to do. I don't feel bored all the time, but I also don't feel overwhelmed. So that was good. That is basically what March looked like. I took some cool pictures during our spring break adventure. Let me pull it up. It was my profile picture on Facebook for a while. But this is the picture. And oh gosh, the glare. But I love this picture. I think it's so cool. And yeah, that was pretty much March, was just getting ready and getting back in the classroom and all of that kind of stuff. And around this same time, I started talking to the girl that I lived with about I really wanted to start getting involved in a church. So she talked to me about this church that she knew, and it's called IPV, Palabra de Vida, which means Word of Life. And she was talking about it, and the thing I was super concerned about was going somewhere where there would be some people that speak English. Side note to say, it is much more common to find people here in Guadalajara that speak multiple languages than it is in the United States. Like, way more common, okay? I would say about 25% at least of the people that I know from here in Guadalajara can hold a fluent conversation in English. Of course, also in Spanish, because that's their native language. But at least 25% can hold a conversation in English. And I would say, even go past that and say like 50% of them know some English, even if they don't speak it or say it out loud. So not as big of a request as I thought it was at the time, because at the time I didn't know that. Remember, I've been inside, I've just been going to school, and that's it. At the time, I did not know that it was so common for people here to know English, at least a little bit. And so I asked her, she's like, yeah, there'll be people there that can help you. And then she thought, and she's like, actually, there's somebody I went to school with that goes there. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I was like, I would love to go check out that church. Well, I love the girl that I lived with to death, but sometimes she's not the best at following up on stuff quickly. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I'm very glad that she did, because timing ended up being very perfect for some other things that happened later. But so a couple weeks went by. I visited, or I spent Easter, which this was at the very beginning of April. I'm skipping ahead to April now because March didn't have quite as much stuff as I thought. But moving forward into April, at the end of that spring break, right before we started back with those hybrid classes, I spent Easter with a family that works at the same school. Well, not the whole family, but the mom works there. But the mom is from Belgium and the dad is from Mexico. And they invited a couple of us teachers that were from the States that don't have family here over to their house for Easter, which was super nice. Unfortunately, I ended up being the only one that could go. So not everyone got to appreciate their hospitality and their generosity, but I did. And it was so, so nice of them. They came to pick me up that morning, and we had breakfast all together at their house, and then we went to their church for their Easter service, and then we came back and spent some time outside walking and doing things like that. And then we came back and played some board games and chatted a little more, and it was super nice. It was really nice to have something to do for Easter that wasn't just sitting in my room. And so yeah, anyways, that was really, really kind of them. So that was how my April started. And then after that, I talked to the girl I lived with again, and I was like, hey, I really want to go visit that church now. I feel ready. I want to go do it. And so she gave me like the location and stuff at the church, but she still hadn't sent me the information of the friend that she had that went there. But I was really, really like ready to go, excited. I didn't want to wait anymore. And so I just went ahead and went to the church. I had never talked to her friend. I didn't have her friend's contact information. I didn't know anything that was happening. I didn't know anyone else that went to this church. All I knew was that I'm going to this church because, yeah, I want to go to church. And I want to start going to churches. And I should mention, too, that I visited another church with some of the other people that taught at Lincoln, but it just didn't feel right. And my fellow Christians, you know what I mean when you walk into a church and it's great and it's awesome and wonderful and the people are nice, but something inside of you is just like, this isn't for me. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but just because there's something that's like, I need to try another church. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I need to try another church. And so that's what I was doing. I walked all the way to this church. It was like a 45-minute walk, and it was hot. But I did. I walked to this church, and I go in to the service by myself. I ask for a seat for one in Spanish. Yay, I'm learning. And I walk in, and their worship is like, Hillsong Had a Baby. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this sounds good. This looks good. And worship was amazing. Obviously, I did not understand everything I was singing, but I knew a lot of the songs were just translated from English. So, like, I knew the songs. Even though I didn't know the words I was singing, I knew the songs. And so I was like, oh, yeah, this is good. And then the pastor preached. Yes, that's the correct answer, right? Preached. Yeah. The pastor preached, gave his message. And obviously, I didn't understand a lot of it, but I understood enough, and I understood the way he expressed it, and I understood his heart enough to say, I want to come back here. Like, this feels really good. This feels like somewhere I want to be. And, I'm feeling really good about it. And so then, on my way out of the church, I get stopped by this guy. I'm like, oh, hey, and I recognize him, and I realize he works at the same school that I do. And so he's like, hey, you're from Lincoln, right? And I was like, yeah. And so we chatted for a second, and he was like asking me what I was interested in. I was like, well, I mean, really, I'm interested in worship, but obviously I don't know a lot of Spanish, so it might need to be a while before I get involved in that way. But yeah, I really love the church, and I want to come back and stuff. He was like, oh man, that's awesome. He was like, well, I'm on the worship team and stuff, so when you're ready, just let me know and I'll get you hooked up with the right people. I was like, oh, fantastic, awesome. So I left feeling like super refreshed and renewed, and I was like texting the girl up, and I was like, hey, I need that contact info ASAP because I just went to church and I loved it, and I definitely want to go back. So she does. She sends me the contact information, and well, before she does, I should say that she has a conversation with her friend, and is told that they're going to have a small group this week, in person, which was big, and it was going to be at a coffee shop. So small groups and coffee shops, like two of my favorite things. And as soon as she told me, I was like, yes, I'm going. Where is it? When is it? Just give me all the details. I will be there. I can't wait to be there. So she does. And then the day of, I finally texted her. I was like, hey, could you please give me your friend's contact information? Because if I end up at the wrong coffee shop or lost or there at the wrong time, I'm going to feel really, really stupid. So I would really love to have the contact information just so I can talk to them and make sure everything's good. So she gives me the contact information, and I just send a message like to make sure everything's good. And it's a guy named, he's in her phone as Danny. His name is Daniel, but he's in her phone as Danny. And so I send him a message, and I mean, I'm not really paying much attention to anything else except like trying to type this message in Spanish, and I'm like, hola, soy Abby. And I was just asking him to make sure like I knew where the meeting was and what was happening, what the plan was, and all that. Thumbs up to Google Translate for helping me out with that message. And he responds in English like a deer. That yeah, awesome. That's all the right information. We'll see you there tonight. Keep me updated like on your ride. Let me know when you get there and everything. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I can do that. So I get my Uber. I go there. I'm running a little bit late, so I send a message like, hey, I'm a little late. Sorry, but I'm coming. And he responds, hey, I'm late too. Don't worry. And so anyways, I get out of the Uber. I get in line to order coffee. And this guy comes running in to the coffee shop because obviously he's late. You guessed it. It's Daniel. So, comes running in. He's wearing glasses and a shirt and some pants. And That's really descriptive, right? My memory's terrible. But that's how he came in. If you wanted to ask him, then he could probably tell you what he was wearing, but I couldn't. I know what I was wearing. I was wearing like a teal color shirt and some black shorts. And I don't know why I remember what I'm wearing and not what he was wearing. Maybe that means I'm self-centered. I don't know. Probably. But anywho, he comes running in and he stops and looks at me. He's like, "You're Abby." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Oh, I'm Daniel. Nice to meet you. I gotta run upstairs because I'm leading the talk tonight, but I'll see you in just a second." I was like, "Okay." And so I order my coffee and I walk upstairs, and there are two guys, and that's it. Just two guys. Okay. I should also mention that one of them is a good bit older than I am, like probably 15 years older than I am, and then the other one is Daniel that I just met downstairs. He looks like about my age, so I'm like, okay. Of course, what's happening in my head is the girl that I live with forgot to tell them I'm a girl. And so I've walked into this guy's small group, and I'm just going to be sitting there all night like, "I'm a girl. I'm not supposed to be here." So that's what's going on in my head right now. And bless their hearts, Daniel speaks fluent English, so he's fine. But the other guy just speaks a little bit of English, so I'm like trying to speak in Spanish when I can, trying to speak English, and bless, they're so patient, all of them. Small group that I went to for the first time, I don't think we have an official name, but all saints. Mwah, chef's kiss, mwah, chef's kiss, because they're all saints. They had the patience of the world with me while I was trying to figure out how to interact with them and all those kind of things. So, fast forwarding through this night, two more guys show up. So it's like the thing was supposed to start at 7:30. It's like 8 o'clock, and it's me and four guys, and I'm like, wow, this is so great. Really good decision, Abby. Way to go. And finally, another woman comes in, and I'm like, yes, praise the Lord. I'm not in the wrong place. It's fine that I'm a woman and I'm here. So, we continue. They didn't really get started talking till about 8:10, 8:15, because that's the way things work in Mexico. If you don't know someone that's from Mexico, then you may not know that everything runs later than they say it will, but it does. Fun fact for you. So, anywho, moving on, we had the small group. I understood very little, but I understood enough to know that I wanted to come back again. And after it was over, Daniel came over, and he talked to me, and we talked a lot, and we laughed a lot. This whole small group, not just us, but the whole small group went to eat together after the thing. And so we sat beside each other while we ate, mostly because he's the only one that spoke English and I barely spoke Spanish. But we sat beside each other for the dinner, for eating and everything. And we talked about Christmas music. Keep in mind it was April. We talked about Christmas music. We talked about my recent trip to La Barranca, which I forgot to mention. I'll go back to that. I'm so sorry. We talked about a variety of things, and we really had a good time. Like, we were laughing and having fun and all this kind of stuff. So it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And at the end of the night, one of the people in the small group gave me a ride home, and then I got like a text message from Daniel. He was like, "Hey, I hope you really enjoyed our small group. We loved having you, and we hope that you can come back, but also no hard feelings if you feel like you need to visit another group." Which is also what the guy that gave me a ride home told me. So now I'm sitting here because I'm an overthinker, like, oh my gosh, they don't want me in that small group anymore. Like, they were so nice and kind, and they want to be nice and say, "Hey, you're welcome to join," because they're Christians, and who's going to tell somebody that they can't be a part of a small group where you learn about Jesus? Because that's not how Christianity works. You open up your small group to everybody so everyone can learn about Jesus. But they also think I shouldn't be in their small group. Ha! Super. So that's what I was thinking as that night ends. And yeah, I will backtrack a little bit to say that I did go to this really cool place called La Barranca. This was like the week before I went to small group, excuse me. And I hiked La Barranca, which is no easy task. It's super hard. And I actually have a video I made for my kids at school to watch about hiking La Barranca. So what I'll do instead of telling you all about it is I'll just upload the video so that you can see it. And yeah, I think that should be good. So that's like midway through April that all of this is happening. because it was 2 weeks after Easter is when I went to the small group. So yeah, that is where we are up to now. I'm falling even more in love with the rooftop and the ukulele and all of those wonderful and awesome things. And that gets us pretty much to the end of April. Nothing else has really happened. I'm regularly going to the small group. Daniel and I are talking more and becoming like close friends. And I'm going to church, and school's going good. We're getting close to the end of the year. We're finally starting to get into a groove with this hybrid thing, and I'm starting to be able to go out and meet people and do things. And so Mexico is really just like, at this point towards the end of April, is just really opening up before my eyes, and I'm starting to imagine like a life here and finally going out and meeting people and doing things. And it just seems, it all just seems like everything is blooming, it's blossoming, right? Like everything is just so different than it was when I first moved here. So that's where we are at the end of April. And in the next video, I will catch you up about what happened over the summer between the end of school to the beginning of the next school year. Thank you guys for being so patient. I'm sorry it's taken so long for me to post updates, but you'll understand why once I get to the updates, because life has been super duper crazy. But yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.